Let us stand now, unbowed and unfettered by arcane doctrines born of fearful minds in darkened times. Let us embrace the Luciferian impulse to eat of the tree of knowledge and dissipate our blissful and comforting delusions of old. Let us demand that individuals be judged for their concrete actions, not their fealty to arbitrary social norms and illusory categorizations. Let us reason our solutions with agnosticism in all things, holding fast only to that which is demonstrably true. Let us stand firm against any and all arbitrary authority that threatens the personal sovereignty of one or all. That which will not bend must break, and that which can be destroyed by truth should never be spared its demise. It is done. Hail Satan. Welcome to Year 72, and welcome to the Earth Hotel. Welcome, everybody. It's been a couple of weeks since my last episode, and God, just so much has happened in our country, in our world. I am not going to try to comment on it because I haven't spent enough time reading about it and also writing about it. I think the best response that I can have in the coming days, weeks, months is to just write essays on what I think about things, because that's what I've been noticing the most in discussion that I try to have is not only do I not know enough, but I haven't cycled through all that information and I haven't processed anything. And that's incredibly hard to do with the news cycle and just the speed at which things develop and change and how busy and complicated our lives are. I would like to have some kind of workable opinion so that I can try to understand what's happening. That's the greatest defense for this whole fading democracy that we have is understanding, listening, and nuanced processing of this information. So if you feel overwhelmed and confused about what's happening, try putting your thoughts down on it on paper. Not necessarily from an emotional standpoint, unless you need to process that too, which there's a lot to work through, but what do you understand about the situation at hand? Where did the information come from, and where does that play in? What's the history of the situation? What could the effects be? Not like you're writing a book report, but try to use your brain. I'm trying to use my brain more because I've noticed that I haven't been a lot lately in the capacity that I can. So welcome back to the Earth Hotel and this very strange time that we're in. This interview is with Whirlybird, and they are a two-piece that I've gotten to know over the last couple of weeks. I've played a couple shows with them, and we've run into each other. We've got some mutual friends, and I had them on because I wanted to hear their music. They don't have anything recorded, or they didn't as of the day of this episode, so that's very exciting. But before we get to that, I've got dates. This Thursday the 12th. So if you're hearing this on the day that it comes out, tonight, the Crisis Center benefit reading, presented by I Am the F-Bomb and the Nitty Gritty Magic City reading series. This is an organization that assists people in times of crisis with violence, abuse, mental health issues. There are going to be literary cocktails and art and reading by very powerful women sharing their stories. 7 o'clock, doors open at 7, reading starts at 7:30 at Desert Island Supply Company. Come and do that. There's a $5 cover towards the Crisis Center, so come out and support that. Also, a little bit later in the evening, Thelma and the Sleaze, Black Willis, and King Magnum at the Syndicate. So this is going to be the sleaziest garage rock show that I can think of that's happening in Birmingham. Thelma and the Sleaze I've played before. They're from Nashville, Tennessee. Just astounded me when I saw them. Inspired. They're kind of like, and I hate this thing meets this thing, but it's kind of like Bird Cloud and Iggy Pop. had an orgy together and then just recorded it. They have new 7-inch out right now. Go to their website, thelmaandthesleaze.com, and check all that stuff out. They have videos that are really interesting and funny. Black Willis and King Magnum are 2 Birmingham natives, and they're both super trashy back alley, garage rock, sleazy time. I'm friends with a member of Black Willis, and King Magnum they've both been around the city for a long time. If you're in there, in that garage rock scene, you know these guys. Come down and see that. That's 7 o'clock at the Syndicate Lounge. Pretty sure it's a $5 cover. I've never been to the Syndicate where it's more than $10. Then Saturday at 10:30 in the morning at Brother Bryan Park in Birmingham, there's a counter-protest that I'm attending against March for Life. Probably don't need to go into why the pro-life movement is both a misnomer and a societal issue. There's a counter-protest against a group called March for Life. We are going to just show up and be a wall against which they can dash themselves and hopefully disappear. We're not going to be interfering or even involving ourselves at all with the other protesters. We're just going to show up and stand on the sidewalk peacefully and show in the opposite direction. And this is presented by the Greater Birmingham National Organization for Women. And it's a march for reproductive rights. That should be a basic thing. That really should be just a common sense thing, but we're going to show up and try to make our point again. So that's that. That's at 10:30. Come out and show up for that. Brother Bryan Park in Birmingham. You can find the address for that online. And then, 8 p.m. that night, there's a Standing Rock benefit show at the Firehouse to benefit the Oseti-Sakowin camp at Standing Rock, which is also still going on. I looked up the weather at that site today. There is no day this week where the low is above 0. -8, -4, -6 degrees, and the highs don't get over 10. So these people are asking for Arctic gear to continue this protest, this demonstration against the seemingly inevitable crawl of the cancer of endless growth of capitalism. I'm not against some parts of capitalism. One effect of this cancer, one symptom of this is the snaking across not only sacred lands, but just the earth that we live on by destructive forces. 8 p.m., there's a benefit show at the Firehouse hosted by my friend Anatomical. I'm very proud of all the work that she's doing. I'm inspired and impressed. Null, Shocks, and a group called Lil White Bitch. Anna is also playing a set. It's $5 at the door in cash or over Venmo. There's no Square, so you can't pay with a card. There will be a donate button in the description of this podcast if you want to donate. They're asking for Arctic gear, horse feed, blankets, and money. So you can go and donate online for that. I can't really think of many more worthy causes than these people protecting the only thing that we have, which is the earth. Christ. January 20th, it's next Friday. There's a group from Fort Payne, Alabama. They're doing their first show at Eclipse in Montevallo. They're called Soul Carnival with a K. They've got a bunch of different styles going on. Assume 7, thinking it's going to be 9, though. Help Montevallo give them a warm welcome. And then Saturday, the 21st, it is Goulash Comedy's 2-year birthday at the Syndicate Lounge at 8:30. The Goulash Comedy edifice has been bringing stand-up to, and a lot of really impressive national acts, as well as incredibly talented local people that I've seen, to the Syndicate to have comedy continue to thrive. The Syndicate isn't technically a comedy club, but this is the only working comedy thing going in Birmingham that I know of. If there's something else going on, send me a message because I want to go to it. I know the Stardome is a thing, but Goulash Comedy is having their 2-year birthday, and they've done an amazing job in the last 2 years of bringing that to our city. Here's to many, many years more. That's the Syndicate Lounge at 8:30. Come and celebrate with them. Or if the comedy thing's not your scene, Little Girl, Pink Pyramids, Slow Harper, and Alan Witten are playing a show at Saturn at 9 o'clock. Bo and Caleb are 2 very talented people that I've known for a long time in the Montevallo area. You can hear Bo in the Montevallo Music Podcast episodes that I've recorded on my Bandcamp page. He's been on the Earth Hotel as part of Nuclear Milwaukee before. Very happy to support him and Caleb. They were going to play with Dizzy and myself at Marty's this past weekend, but everything froze, so that didn't happen. So come and support them. Come and woohoo with us at Saturn, 9 o'clock, the 21st, Saturday. And then the 22nd, Sunday, at 3 p.m. sharp until sundown, there is an outdoor generator run show by my friend Anna. Spores, Heavy User, Snake Church, and Balcony View are playing that show. Balcony View I've mentioned before as a very talented noise act. Snake Church is actually mentioned in this interview I have with Whirlybird. Heavy User I've seen before, and Spores I've seen before. Very interesting folks. They're playing an outdoor generator run show. So email wethepeopleMakeTheMusic@gmail.com for the address. So that's what's happening in our city. I try to follow as much stuff as I can on Facebook, and I try to be as well informed as I can. I reach out to DIY Birmingham and various other sources for this kind of information. But if you have an event going on in the city that you want plugged on this, send me a message at theearthhotel@gmail.com, and I'll put your stuff up. Really, if you have anything to do with the show, if you want your music on here, if you want your words read, if you want anything, send me an email. If you just heard the show and you think it's a piece of shite, I would love to hear that. But in the meantime, coming up right after this is a cut-up that I did of some GOP propaganda. Some people that I know got a letter because they are card-carrying conservatives from the GOP asking for donations, and in that letter was just all kinds of madness. So I cut that up against itself, and we'll talk about that. You'll hear me read it. I have found that when you cut up propaganda, it reveals and creates doublespeak. If there's no substance underneath it, you're still gonna get no substance out of it. However, as I read through this, and it's kind of presented like a speech, the first half or so is straight propaganda. And then it starts to break down, and there starts to be more bare motives coming through. And then there's a brilliant little PS that got thrown on the end of it, which just lays everything bare. I hope you enjoy. This is a fundraising letter from the GOP to card-carrying Alabama Republicans. I cut it up against itself at random, reassembled it at random, and read it out. I'll take you to that now.
Senator Jeff Sessions will be guiding the department, counting on the Alabama Republican General. We couldn't be prouder. Candidates and other left-wing groups, responsibility of leadership to make good on our congratulations. Us, dedication and focus. War wages on. We already see the media, and the you rose up and elected us. Alabama received why we need you to continue to stand with us by the fourth highest percentage. You were a driving, sustaining membership gift of $25, $35, or $45. Alabama Republican Party. Thank you and God Party to defend them against the AEA, liberal Democrats, and return security, common sense, and prosperity too desperate to seize control in Montgomery. Alabama Republican Party sponsored a team of over. So please remember that, your renewed team. Will you continue your vital support makes our work possible of our Alabama Republican Party and renew your sustaining membership for 2017 with a gift? And our new president will be looking for our $25, $35, or $45 today. Sustaining membership in our Alabama Republican, Trump appoints a tried and true conservative of $25 to our headquarters, U.S. Supreme Court, and dozens of federal today. We must also immediately enact middle-class tax, threat of ISIS and radical Islamic terror, and renegotiate Help Make America Great Again. Alabama Republican, Alabama and America. My goal is to have every sustaining member Donald J. Trump as an Alabama Republican. All the credit for our new governor, 140 members of the state, are crucial, so if you can possibly renew with members like you who made it happen. Statewide and local offices, each one of them will be good use. These first few months of GOP control agenda and deliver on our conservative promises in Florida and Ohio to help win the White House. In fact, a larger gift of $35 or $45, we sure can put it to a single sustaining member from our winning doors. By his side, our own United States, Washington, D.C. does business will. Also, 2 years from now, we'll elect a justice as the new United States attorneyal interests are doing whatever it takes, legislature and candidates, for other important America that you made. The will of the people have happened without your generous sustaining force to help him reach the White House. But let's not forget, we now have the looking back. It's clear to me and all America. It was with great pride that the promises. We won a decisive battle, but the historic victory is possible. You know as well as I do that changing the way today, as President-elect Trump prepares, be a huge and exhaustive undertaking. The liberal spec and our GOP majority in Congress dismantle, they try to stop us. And the mainstream media continue to ignore relief, rebuild our military, stop the Democrats coming after our team. And that's 100 volunteers who spent over a week bad trade deals to bring jobs back to renewing your sustaining membership. In the will, you renew your blessed party. Mail your 2017 contribution to our Alabama. This is an exciting time to be countries around our state. Amazing victories go to sustaining. Amazing victories. Thank you. P.S. Now's the time to dismantle the Obama. Our conservative agency is ambitious for America. To be successful, we can't lose. Help to get it all done. How exciting it will be to see President. We can't wait a single minute to repeal judges who will respect the sanctity of life and fix our broken immigration system. We must keep our winning team intact. That's why, to take the oath of office, our task is to help him back on board by Inauguration Day. Disastrous legacy of President Obama. Thank you.
Really on Bandcamp, you're not really on Facebook or anything.
Yeah.
You just kind of radically exist in Birmingham. We played a Montevallo House show together.
That was a fun one.
That was good. That was kind of wild. We did a show at the Firehouse a couple weekends ago. And was there one more time that we...
Yeah, I know there was. I can't place it off the top of my head, but
yeah,
it was a few months ago.
So y'all...
It was another event.
How long have y'all been playing? Like, how long have you been together?
Well, Kit and I have been together since about June.
Me and Payton met through a mutual friend this summer. I just told him I was a drummer, told him some of the music I was into. We really hit it off.
Sparks flew. Yeah. Yeah, we played our first show together at the Firehouse under the name Whirl Yeah. It's kind of a joke, just because I like Hurl Yeah.
Okay.
But I was playing with another guy for the latter half of the year, up until that.
We just show up places and play, really. I just like to play fast, and Payton likes to play fast, and kind of like the same kind of music. And really, I mean, I just was tired of sitting around and playing by myself, playing drums by myself.
I love the really intense two-piece things. Every time I see that setup and it works really well, it makes me really happy.
Thank you.
I was really struck by the energy, kind of the playfulness that you go about it with. You've got a good balance of like this wild, intuitive.
Right. My drumming's influenced by like krautrocky stuff, lots of driving beats. But then I also really like jazz drummers, like Billy Cobham is a sick drummer. I haven't been using toms for that long. It was a pretty stripped down set for a while.
So you just had cymbals and snare and kick?
Yep.
No toms at all?
That was it for a minute. And actually my bass drum
it's not even a bass drum.
It's not a bass drum, yeah. It's really not even out of like, it's not a stylistic choice or anything. It's just haven't bought those things yet.
You could have not said that and people would have, wow.
Man, they're just
floor tom's bigger than your
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, as y'all were kind of dialing in the takes that we just did, I could tell that it's rehearsed and obviously you know what you're doing, and there are sections to it. I could see where you're trying to dial in.
A friend of mine actually asked me a few weeks ago before a show how much of our set was improv versus actual recorded stuff, and like how much it was going to be that time, because it just kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about when we record, should I have my part down, like for real, so that every take, because recording is pretty perfectionist kind of deal. If I don't play the same thing every take, how can I perfect it, I guess?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think I like to lend a lot of influence to, like, the very moment. A lot of the reason that I'm playing this style and kind of started Whirlybird was just to have fun. And I want people to have fun listening to it. Not with sacrificing a few like set defined parts for improvising some things is in the end, I feel kind of worth it, because it gives us a little wiggle room when we're performing for people to do something we might not have done before.
Yeah.
Also, just it's a lot more fun not to have to take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just it's
a good release.
Fun when we're practicing and we'll play something a little differently and they'll be like, oh, I like that, and like we'll probably, take that piece and play it again. But, it's never certain, I guess. Yeah.
It gives the music options to express itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that we were working on the first track that y'all did, and you slowed it down just a skosh, and it brought out a certain moment where you had these hits going on, and it was something you were both doing, but I didn't even notice it the first time. And then when you slowed it down and that moment kind of came out, that's a really good example of the flexibility that you have. You want to record soon. What do you think the city could do? What do you think we could do here?
Like for the music scene?
Yeah, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
Community or whatever.
I would like to see more involvement from trans and gender non-conforming people, for sure. And I think that there's already a great push for that. There's already a great start within the DIY art scene. And I would like to see that seep out into Birmingham's little tech bubble as well. Because it's not a huge thing, but there is, it's the line of work that I'm in. And I would like to see more diversity, which is hard because it's all business, you're talking about the people that you're hiring, and I'm not really sure how to instigate that change, but it would be great to see that the tech office workspace environment become more trans inclusive. They're pretty good about people who are identifying as lesbian, gay, or bisexual, but there's not too much representation from trans or gender nonconforming people, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And in my experience, at least.
Coming from a person that's on that kind of, it's so hard to understand. I think that's the hardest part of it, is that it's hard to wrap your head around taking your life and your body and your being and doing different things with it. Because it's, everybody has to struggle to kind of express themselves and try to match up their inner world with their experience. And I don't understand what the fuck I'm doing. I could never expect somebody else to just like on spec get me, in that way.
I understand. Yeah. I think that one of the greatest and most positive things about the emerging culture behind all of this is that there is just an across the board acceptance for people who identify that way without necessarily having to view that person as passing or having fully transitioned.
Mhm.
I think that the barriers for being able to describe oneself as trans or as gender fluid is being broken down. And that's a really good thing, because not everyone is comfortable, and a lot of people are quite honestly just unsure of themselves.
Yeah.
So it gives wiggle room.
The show that we played a couple of weeks ago together, what was the name of the actual event? It was-
Trans is beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the thoughts that I had was like, wow, it's really, nobody here wants to like potentially hurt me. Like, I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah.
And that doesn't
Like
mean
nobody's just like staring you down or like.
well,
you
it's
know.
not weird anymore.
Right.
And I can understand like some schmuck that's never seen it. He's never been outside of the town that he grew up in. And then I walk by. He doesn't know what the fuck to do with that. And I don't blame him, because he doesn't have any context. You know,
Uh-huh.
Right,
there's
I
no,
understand that.
it's the exposure, and it's the, you know, there's no media, there's no nothing. And if there is media about it, then it's skewed and it's not an actual experience.
That's how people grow up, is like labeling things and being weird about things that are different. It's just something we got to teach people. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And we can look at that in the same way of, you know, as the converse of like, you got no idea what's going on. I got no idea what's going on. Let's start there and work out of that instead of starting where we're different and trying to bash out the differences.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
If somebody gets a crazy tattoo, you're just like, shit, what's
Right.
going on? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. But if you go, dude, what the fuck with that tattoo? Like,
Yeah.
dude, don't do that.
Get it removed.
Because trans people can be just as attached to their identity as somebody that's cis white and doesn't know nothing about nothing. It's neither of their faults that they attach that way. That's just like the tendency of our being, is to grab a thing and like, I got this thing now.
Right.
We gotta survive in this fucking place.
It's a necessary perspective, really. I've never really asked myself the question, how I feel personally about my own gender. And because of that, I probably, like, if I had never talked to somebody, I couldn't understand how you could feel that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that feeling never came up.
Exactly. So if somebody else is experiencing it, it's like, what's wrong with you? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just all about perspective, you know?
Yeah, because there are things that I'm sure that you've thought about yourself that other people don't even, you know, that's the game. That's the game that we're all here to play, is like, you've got a very specific experience that you've got, and nobody else is going to have that ever.
Right.
You know? Trying to bring this back around to music. Yeah, I think more events that are aligned around bringing people together, we can get so much more creative with that.
I think more Birmingham musicians should collab, honestly, like collaborate, just because like I play drums, and like I know a couple of guys that play drums, but I feel like we need more collaborative, creative circle, which maybe we're just not in it.
I think you're in luck there, because Snake Church recently, or not Snake Church, Joy Boy went on tour recently,
Really?
and Eli, he plays with Snake Church, Laughing Sword.
I gotcha. I want to like get a group of Birmingham musicians and get like 20 of them, like a bunch, like 3 drummers and like a couple guitars, and just like all just like jam for a while.
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Nah, it's gonna be great.
I see what you mean, though. There's a part of me that wants to take every musician in Birmingham, like put them on a list, throw them in a room.
Right.
I want to see everybody here. I want to see what we're working with in the scene.
Mm-hmm. Just get all the elements together and be like, how can we make a Birmingham like sound?
But that's, you know, that gets weird, and then you get a cult, and it's just no good.
Yeah.
But
I think it happens over time on its own, really.
Yeah. Like if you look at what happened in France, the turn of the century with Picasso and all of those people, if you look at the Factory in New York, if everybody's bumping asses against each other all the time, and you're always talking and exchanging your ideas about your thing, that's how that kind of whirling, crazy vortex of stuff happens.
Like a clear, you know, artistic direction for like a group, you know, like a larger community.
Well, that's how movements happen.
Right.
And and in some cases, you don't call it something until well after.
Sure.
You know, but in some cases, you have like the faux artists, which are like, we are this, and that's what we're called, and that's what we do, and this is our philosophy or whatever. And then you have stuff like Dada, where Dada's not weird enough. Like, we need surrealism. It's realism not weird enough. We need lettrism. And then lettrism splinters off into like 8 different groups, and then they all fight each other. And I think there's like a forum the public square, like the marketplace. But more importantly, and I think we've got a lot of spaces that obviously a lot of people run into each other, but part of it is you got to talk shop there. Like if you're not exchanging the ideas that you're working with, then you're just socializing.
Yeah, I understand. I just feel like we're all like ADD human beings, and like what I was saying, if we all just got together and like, which I know that's impossible, just playing together with more people, because we go to these events and we see each other play, and then we just leave afterwards.
Right.
But there's a lot you can take away from that too. I feel like if you don't necessarily exchange the ideas just by talking about them and getting into it and breaking it down, like socializing, there's a lot you can take away from seeing an artist perform. And like, I definitely like to watch how other guitarists play. I've gotten a lot of inspiration that way.
I feel you.
Just kind of learning by osmosis and seeing what sticks, what doesn't.
Maybe I'm just
with your own style. I don't know.
I just need to go to every show I possibly can and just watch all the time. That might just be it.
There's a lot of different ways you can look at it for sure.
Yeah. I think it might be the obsessive categorizing part of me that's doing that.
Oh, I hope I didn't come across as like knocking your idea down.
No, I think you're right. I think you're more right than I was.
Well, no, I see a lot of benefit too in talking about it though.
Yeah.
Because like being able to talk about like the pedals that one uses, or in Kit's case, like the style of how you play, like what time signature you'd play in, etc. It's all very helpful.
Yeah.
We all learn different ways.
Yeah. I think I lack in that place of just like put yourself in the middle of it and don't worry about it. Just watch and take it in.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people. I kind of do that as well.
Yeah. What's your next move? Do you have shows coming up?
Yeah, we have a few we have one scheduled for January, one for February, and one for March. But yeah, other than that, we're going to try to record and get a single out, or possibly even just a demo tape, and we're trying to tour soon.
Okay.
Southeast
Alabama, what are you doing?
Southeast. Okay. We have someone in Nashville we're working with, and also someone in Atlanta. But it's going to be, I feel like it'll be kind of challenging unless they get their whole issue with the DIY scene sorted out. There was a show that got shut down recently, a No Bunny show, and a few DIY spots had kind of like closed down temporarily.
I mean, they'll house parties, I guess, stuff like that. You know, there's always that kind of thing, but
yeah, someone with the fire marshal. Because it was in response to that rave fire that happened out in, I believe, California.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's all I understand of it.
I like the house party thing just because it's always different, you know, and not just going back to the same place every time.
Yeah.
And it's usually a different crowd too every time because, you know, other people's houses, you know, they attract different kinds of people, I guess, different friend groups. So I guess it's a little bit good for exposure too, because we do play at the Firehouse, and I like the Firehouse. It's a great little venue. But the crowd's mostly the same. It's a good crowd, but
you can only play for your friends so many times,
right?
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
I love my friends for coming to shows.
Yeah.
Which I think DIY Birmingham, it looks like that's what they're doing with their newsletter and their blog.
Yeah, hear about upcoming events and new acts around Birmingham.
That might just be the pluralism of having so much fucking information we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
you know, that just might be the rub. So then it comes back to just go to more shows and just see people.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Play at bars around town. Hopefully somebody listens.
You've really just got to push your stuff and, you know, meet as many people as you can. That's why I always try to
have
meet
good
the
connects.
touring bands and talk to them. Yeah, just know people.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to.
This was lovely.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
We had great fun. I really like something I think we should do more is what you're doing right here is just recording like little live acts around Birmingham and just putting out like little live recordings.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Whirlybird, ladies and gentlemen. We did an improv with guitar, drums, and sax, and that's what you're going to hear next. So sit back and enjoy and have a good night. This has been the Earth Hotel.